Hi, Phil here with another film review, or at least I'm on my way to go see one, and I'm inside the car doing so while driving. Don't worry, I got the proper apparatus to make sure this is done safely. Um, yeah, so I'm on my way to view Iron Lung the movie. Yes, that's right. Iron Lung the movie. Despite the fact that it's a big old blizzard out here and I'm making my way through it. When you really think about it, you just gotta just sit back and see how amazing it is, all the accomplishments that's really happening here. First of all, what is it? Markiplier? An online celebrity? Famous for, YouTube videos, specifically Let's Plays of video games, all kinds of video games. And Markiplier, he got famous online, and among the video games he reviewed was Iron Lung, which in and of itself is a very, very independently made sort of video game, a computer game. It's practically a one-man team, as from what I'm told of the research and production of the game. And I watched Let's Plays of it, and oh yeah, that was real cool. Iron Lung, the horror movie. But now it is actually, not only did they collaborate, Markiplier and the Iron Lung team, not only did they collaborate on a theatrical movie, an actual full-length movie, but in theaters, like in movie theaters. And not only is it legitimately a real film in theaters, but it's doing real good from what I've been told. Like critically acclaimed and financially successful. And supposedly Hollywood is really pissed off about this. Nobody wants to watch their was Paramount produced online streaming shows like Starfleet Academy and The Rings of Power and whatever the hell is going on with that Velma show. And what else? And also, from what I've been told, She-Ra was the remake of She-Ra was moved for Netflix because it was just so poorly received and so much of a financial burden or something, supposedly. But look at what is succeeding and look at what is failing. It's amazing, the success that's going on here. It is just amazing. I feel like this is really grassroots stuff. It was independently made, or at least the video game was, and of course the Let's Plays of the game are also very much a low budget effort because it's just people playing the game and putting a camera in front of themselves. And yet look how far it's all come. Look how all the success that's happened. It's amazing, I feel. Just so amazing, all the things that's happened. And I suppose it's not the first time. I mean, Scott Kaufman's Five Nights at Freddy's. That's a film that has its own sequel now, supposedly. Even though, we all know where that began. Just a very cheap kind of horror video game that relied exclusively on jump scares. And yet it was such a big success. Had so many sequels, so many spin-offs, and 2 theatrical movies now with celebrities endorsing it. Amazing. It is amazing, the accomplishments that happen in the world, things people do. Well, yes, I know I know. My car's got a bit of an automated system that detects when I'm too close to another car, even though I'm a pretty good driver. I've been at this for years, you know. I'm pretty confident in my abilities. But now that we're out of light, I think we'll call it there, and I'll update you all when the rest of the film this is done. I gotta watch it first, of course. Well, I just got through it. I just saw the movie Iron Lungs starring Markiplier. Saw it in theaters. Just a heads up, there will be spoilers for this movie. And, substantial spoilers, because there are some differences between the movie and the game. So yeah, there's good reason to give you a spoiler warning. I personally have made a complete fool of myself because I decided to drink an extra large root beer and an energy drink right before seeing the movie. And you can imagine what kind of pressure I was under. But I suppose that does make it a more immersive experience, because there I was in the theater, grabbing my hat, using it like a stress ball, squeezing it, breathing heavily. Adds to the immersion of the experience, I suppose, all the under pressure of this movie about a guy in a submarine. Yeah, pretty good. And much like the film itself, of a guy who's trying to deal with really clunky and junky technology that's prone to being on the fritz, the movie itself incurred a glitch. The movie theater, they buggered it up. They partway through the movie, it glitched out, and now it's displaying the audio, but no visual displays. So they kind of broke it partway through, and people had to go and complain. And they were nice enough to rewind the film by a few minutes and make sure we didn't miss anything. But yeah, we can all really relate to this guy, the main character, and his experience dealing with this junky, clunky technology he's saddled with. But yeah, very similar to the film. The movie is very similar to the video game, in that all the hallmarks are there, even the visual display, the terminal interface with the submarine, the controls for the submarine, the computer interface, the camera, the big green button thing you press. And pretty cool, the special effects. They really linger on every little detail of this interior of the submarine, because basically the whole movie is set inside there. And yeah, they also address a few points that I'm sure critics of the video game have brought up. Like, even if they could build a window that was like sufficiently pressure resistant to the crushing depths of the ocean, the trouble is blood is opaque, and therefore you have to use an X-ray sort of device in order to, see anything and take pictures. I would think maybe some kind of sonar imaging, or possibly a ultrasound or radar and such. I mean, literally ultrasound. That's how people take a look at babies that are still inside the womb. It literally sees through flesh and blood, because it's sound-based imaging, like what bats use to locate in the dark. But I guess X-rays were a better idea. But that proved to be a bad thing, because if you can't just go shooting an X-ray all willy-nilly, and that's going to give people cancer if you're doing it carelessly. And yeah, as he points out, yeah, you can't go doing that, pointing it at human beings, because that's bad for their health. And of course, just like in the source material, The main character is some kind of convict who's been captured because he was like on the opposing political side of a conflict that was going on in this post-apocalyptic space age. Because as the same premise as the video game, all the planets with life on it have vanished, and space stations like left out in the void are now all that's left. Even the stars are ultimately only an illusion because light only travels at a set speed. So even if the star itself in the night sky has disappeared, it's going to take years before that light reaches people, and wherever they are in the universe. So even they say the starlight itself is an illusion. It isn't even real anymore. And as a result of this post-apocalyptic silent rapture, as they called it, society is collapsing because there's a whole bunch of people stuck in space stations and spaceships, but nowhere to actually go. There's no habitable planets anymore, and resources are dwindling, and people are, speculating on this in a spiritual sense. Like, is this really the rapture? Is this every soul being taken up into the afterlife forcibly? And what does that mean for the people who are left behind? And a conflict like that emerges. Now, to the film's credit, I would have thought for sure they would go with a very cheap sort of thing you might see in like TV adaptations of previously existing, how do I put this? Previously existing material, like movies, films, video games, and such. And when adapting it to, another medium, they try and add in all sorts of things. They did, but not in the cruddy sort of way you usually see with made-for-TV series and such, like Rings of Power or the Fallout TV series, where it's just easier to have a whole bunch of people talking in a relatively well-lit sort of environment, which is, coffee shops, basically. It's this cruddy idea that people want to drag things out a little bit more. Like sometimes a Netflix series does that. And a good example of it is Lost in Space. Lost in Space, the Netflix series, has this problem all the time. Now, certainly they encounter space phenomenon and sci-fi stuff. They're in a spaceship. They go to other planets, and the people in there, they got like all sorts of sci-fi situations they deal with. However, the trouble is, of course, it's easier to just have people in a room talking to each other for dramatic effect and whatever sort of drama they're going on in their lives. And I thought for sure that if they were going to make Iron Lung into a feature-length film, they'd have to bloat it up with that kind of, filler material. Like, it would cut to outside the spaceship, people in the space station just talking amongst each other, explaining the science of the situation. Like, according to this data here and blah, 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 and according to our recent findings over here, maybe the logical conclusion is that we order the submarine to go over there and examine the phenomenon. Well, according to our scanners, the radiation this and quantum that and theta this and more techno babble. And that means if we emit a certain beam at it like that, it'll have a different effect than what's usually been going on. Like, kind of like a Star Trek sort of solution, techno babble and such, where, they just sort of casually and calmly muddle together a solution, which... even if you do understand the science behind it, chances are it still comes across as just a bit of wishy-washy techno-babble with no substance to it. Like, Voyager had some pretty bad examples of it. Some reviewers have even called it Voyager's council room the magic meeting room, because rather than trying a scientific solution, they just sort of turn a metaphorical or like imaginary sort of symbolic concept into reality. And say, like, well, if the enemy is a giant balloon, maybe we should use some sort of quantum pin to pop the balloon. And like, oh, so it's a planet of alien cats, is it? Well, what if we use a hologram of a giant alien dog? That'll scare them because, cats and dogs are always fighting, and then the cats get afraid when the dogs chase them. So that's the logical solution. Junk like that is what you'd see in a pretty bad episode of Star Trek. And I was afraid they'd have to resort to something like that in this movie. And thankfully, they do not. This was a pretty good movie. It was pretty good. Very stressful. Especially since I was holding in a full bladder at the time. Yeah. But I got through that without making a mess. Oh dear. But yeah, Markiplier. And yeah, apparently he does have some good range as an actor, because, he was really putting his all in there. Like, you'd think it'd be a whole bunch of jump scares and just like oh no, that was scary, and he's like, and then he makes a joke. He's like, oh well, you're an ugly critter. He's like, ugh. He's like, you're not scary, you're just a mean old robot, or something like that. But no, he takes it seriously, and there's some serious drama here going on. A bit into spoiler territory. Apparently, the main character's name is Simon, and he's like one of a few people who were caught up in the theological side of the conflict that's going on. Like, the people, there's some sort of conflict. They say that this particular was it filament station, they called it, is like the last it's like a space station that holds the last tree in the whole universe, evidently, because all the habitable planets are gone, and there's just this one garden, the one last tree in the whole universe. And someone, for some reason, had this like idea to just blow the thing up, like out of some sort of, I don't know, messed up theological explanation, like about it being rapture, and everyone else was part of this new society like that's forming, because they're all the last of the survivors. Like, no, you can't destroy that. That's the last of its kind. Fair enough point, I think. And all the other ideas about you gotta do what you gotta do for the sake of survival. I don't think they're communists, but it wouldn't surprise me if they resorted to something like that, because it's like, this is the biggest situation of all, and the collective matters more than the individual and such. And I mean, they're willing to send a convict on a suicide mission. Like, the argument could be made, well, you know what, convicts are the absolute lowest class of the society, because what are you going to do, try and preserve these scant few resources just to keep alive a criminal who's like a killer and such? And like, kind of got a good point there. But on the other hand, society has gotten to such a state where they're like, okay, if we can find an excuse to expend that guy, that's fine. And then and of course, because low resources like that, they give the explanation why it's easier to just send a guy in a rickety old sub rather than robot probes, maybe. You'd think maybe that would be a thing in a sci-fi setting, but I guess not. No resources and such. And we never do get a good look at the landscape of the situation, this whole blood ocean. But from what I've observed, yeah, it would be pretty icky looking. Thick and red and bloody and icky. And, well, even touching blood in real life is pretty gross concept, because you don't know what kind of diseases are in the blood. So, and here they have a whole ocean full of blood that they don't even know if it's really human or not. But as other reviewers have pointed out, if you have such a surplus of blood, you have both water and biomass, which could be, in theory, reused as for agricultural purposes and filter out the fluid of it to make water. Maybe that would have been a plausible idea, but I mean, you got to filter out for diseases, and it's a pretty macabre sort of source. Like, oh, okay, I guess we're all vampires now. Like, someone in the comments is like, oh, is this part of Vampire the Masquerade? He's like, no, we're all humans. No one's keeping secrets from each other. Wink, wink. Yeah, right. All right. No, I don't think there's any vampires in this in this movie, but there is loads of blood, that's for sure. Entire oceans full of blood. Rated 14 and above. Okay. I sort of wonder about the censorship issue. Like, how far do they go, and what are they allowed to show before it gets certain ratings? Like, this is 18 plus, this is for 14-year-olds, this is adults only and such. What exactly are the standards for that? Because they say, I mean, 14 and above, that's kind of teen-ish, I suppose. Now that I think about it, 14's an odd number. It's a peculiar sort of number. I mean, 18 is adult. 14 is just sort of somewhere in the middle of being a teenager, I suppose. A 10-year-old is not exactly a teenager, but if you go above that, I mean, technically, yes. And then what are you trying to shelter them from? Blood and scary things? Like, after a while, you do have to just sort of face reality. Blood is a real thing, people. Blood is a part of life. You literally have it inside you right now. I mean, yeah, gore and such, and blood and guts. Of course, maybe my parents spoiled me by letting me watch so many horror movies when I was a kid, but who knows. But we have to accept blood is a fact of life. It's flesh, blood. This is all medical science. It's all inside you. So, like, do you get desensitized to it? They say some people, i.e. women, see blood every month. So I'm told. Oh boy, it is frosty out here, I tell you what. But all this cold air and blizzard stuff, it's a good relief after all the pressure I was under. Yeah, wearing a coat indoors, having a full bladder, seeing a stressful situation. As for larger sort of spoilers and such, I can't help but notice they did change quite a few things from the video game. Namely, that big old fish monster and the whole dramatic scene where you press the camera and you see a photograph of the creature's eye looking right at you, and like, and the monster's right in front of you, and like, oh no, and it goes clunk, clash, and it bashes the submarine, and it starts leaking blood, and the submarine's going to sink. The monster's out there, oh no. Yeah, that was fun. It happened quite differently in the video game compared to what goes on in the movie. Yeah, that old frog monster, as everyone keeps describing it, no, not exactly in this movie, not quite, sad to say. And they could have gone in a few other directions, like there's plenty of other mysteries the game provides and material. Like, what about that strange vibrating obelisk that was in the depths of there, not marked on any map? It makes a vibrating sound and sort of echoey sort of noise out of nowhere. Or maybe it's a reference to 2001: A Space Odyssey with the big black obelisk of unhuman origin or something, whatever. Gotta get around to seeing that movie sometime. But yeah, like, and then there's those weird like tube worms or something in the game, or like, were they wires or like I want to say like steel reinforced rebar that you'd see in modern construction. Like, there's wires of steel reinforcing concrete. You see that in modern buildings, but pretty peculiar to see on a uninhabited planet at the bottom of a blood ocean. That's pretty weird. And some of those very geometric, very much artificial looking structures at the bottom of the ocean, which, like, okay, that's got to be made by artificial hands. That's not natural. And like, none of that happened in the movie, and none of the void per se. You know the one I'm talking about in the video games, where that bizarre, strange anomaly of light that is somehow just there and no explanation for it, and and it warps your perception and such. Kind of something like that happens in the movie. But yeah, it's pretty peculiar. Man, the submarine floods with blood does happen in the movie, but I think the lore of this particular movie does have some differences. You see, it's sort of like they see this face in the blood ocean, or like skulls and big sharp teeth and such, and like it does move around when you take photo to photo, and you see it. It's like it's out there and it's moving, and whatever it is, it's alive. It's some creepy alien thing, and they're like, oh, it's no more than just a monster lurking around there. It's part of it. It's like this flesh amalgamated into a hive mind or something. It leaks the blood, and the blood is part of it. So yeah, if the people in there, they get consumed by it, they'll be absorbed by it, like the thing or something. And I'm looking at, like, some partway through the movie, the guy, his sub's getting leaked into, and he starts seeing all these grotesque growths on his arms and flesh, and parts of him are ripping off, and there's blood stained and like biomass forming. Kind of reminds me of the Many from System Shock 2. You remember that one? We do not know death, only change. And this ominous voice says, what is a drop of rain compared to the storm? What is a thought compared to a mind? Our unity holds wonders that your tiny individualism cannot comprehend. And the oozing sort of slime flesh is like, join us. It wants to absorb people into it and become a slimy monster hive mind thingy. Scary monster stuff.
What is a drop of rain compared to the storm?
What is a thought?
What is a thought
Compared to a mind? Our unity is full of wonder.
Full of wonder,
which your tiny individualism cannot even conceive.
And I get the feeling it's pretty much what that monster is, I feel. Pretty much. And once you see this illness on this guy, I'm thinking, yeah, there's no way out of this for you. I'm sorry, pal, but there's no way you're getting out of this one. You're already sick and malformed. Your arm's just falling right off. You're falling to pieces. Like, even the video game source material does have a bummer ending. And, like, you're not getting out of here. And this is one of those sort of horror movies where there is no good ending. There's no way out, but yeah, it's that case for both situations, both the movie and the video game, I should think. And they're like, we do see at least some details of the surface of the blood ocean, but it's icky looking, as you might imagine. Every once in a while, this movie deviates very heavily from the source material, and like he actually does get his sub lifted back up into the laboratory or wherever they're operating from, and they're on the other side squeegeeing off the blood off of the window, and they're like, hey, you in there, you have to do your job, go back here. And like, but I want out of here. I'm like, fair enough, but you're not going to, because we don't have to do what you say, criminal. Now get back to work, convict. And he's like, hey, this isn't fair, let me press this button. Don't press that, that's the radiation button. Oh, hey, cool, I got a picture of skeletons. That's the X-ray photograph machine, we warned you about that. Don't you tell that you're giving radiation to everyone over here. That's bad. He's like, uh-oh. Like, well, I'm sorry I did that. Well, my tumors will talk about it with you later. Like, oh. He's like, oh no. And yeah, that was pretty cool. The movie was understandably gross and grotesque, because all the blood and flesh and guts and such, and all the horror things, and people losing their mind down there at the bottom of this ocean of blood. Horrifying, scary monster faces out there in the dark. And now that I think about it, I kind of wish all those imitations of the game really did step up their game, you know? Like, after a while, there were people imitating Iron Lung with various spins on the idea. One wants, what if Iron Lung in space? And I'm like, it already is in space. It's on a moon, on a different planet, in an ocean of blood. Like, not the ocean with water. Like, no, I mean, what if Voyager something or other was a manned craft, and there was like a guy inside there, like a coffin, and he was like poking around at his computer interface, and like, that was a good idea, but from what I've seen of the Let's Plays, that was a bit disappointing, the execution. Just saying. But yeah, that was a good movie, though. And there was this other one that was about trying to go to under the ice sea of Europa, the moon, which is in our own solar system. And he's like, oh no, a big scary monster face on the computer screen. Oh no. Like, okay. It's a noble effort, but try a little harder next time. As for this movie, yeah, now that I think about it, quite a few video games got their adaptation into film, even though it sometimes seems like it's not the best idea, just from a pedestrian sort of take on this situation. Like a feature-length movie of Five Nights at Freddy's. Okay. It is a horror movie still, I suppose. This one, it was pretty good, very good. I did like it. The Minecraft movie. Well, I'm sure it does have its fans. Apparently, there were rumors that when people were in that movie theater seeing the so-called chicken jockey, they were all going nuts, like little kids, just shouting the memes, even though they haven't seen the movie. They'd only heard the memes, but they go crazy anyway, and they're having a riot inside the movie theater, and like, glad I wasn't there. That sounds awful. It was starring Jack Black as Steve. Okay. Okay. Iron Lung starring Markiplier as Simon, the convict in a submarine. Okay. Sure. Yeah. Maybe my mind just wasn't in the right place to piece all of the pieces together, but what exactly was the thing that happened? Like, Simon says it wasn't his fault, that everything went out of control. It wasn't his idea for destroying the last tree, but everyone else in the group, they all just got like overzealous and took it too far, and he's like, no, this is a bad idea. And then supposedly all his other teammates, part of this sort of cult that's like saying, this is the symbol of the new order, this is the rapture, it's happening, we have to do all this theological stuff, and the tree is very important, and then they blow it up, and then they totally push it all on Simon, and he's blamed for it. He's like the last of them, and who gets locked up while the others flee. And like, this doesn't seem fair. Like, they're totally scapegoating the one guy who didn't think it was a good idea in the first place. Oh my. Like, at least that's what I gather of the story. And then one of the other pods, like, they have this like special information. They've seen the light, they've seen the crazy sort of afterlife, sort of supernatural, theological, whatever's that's involved with the blood ocean, because somehow the blood ocean is the key to all this quiet raptures, whatever it is. Like, I don't quite get it either, because I don't get it. Like, I'm pretty sure that whole sequence with like the light, seeing the light in the other side, that was just a dream sequence and a hallucination. It doesn't really answer all the questions, and what even is that monster in the ocean? Because, like, what is it? It's sort of like all the blood is coalesced into a hive mind, and every bit of blood and flesh is like a singular entity that absorbs others and takes control of them piece by piece. And like, okay, like, so it really is like the many from this is System Shock 2, but well, you know what? Leaving mysteries is part of the mystique, I feel, just like what the game did as well. Was it David Zemeckis is his name? Zemeckis? Pardon me, I have trouble pronouncing names sometimes, but yeah, the creator of Iron Lung. It's too bad we didn't get like much of a sequel, as far as I'm aware of. I mean, that would more sequels sort of take away from the mystery and mystique of it all, because you answer more questions or open up more questions to be answered, or but it was pretty good. It's for a horror movie. It's very good. It's scary. It's visceral, grotesque. Yes, Markiplier has to go into a tight old tunnel in the bottom of the submarine, crawl through blood and icky, blood-stained everything, and everything's all red and icky and filthy, and you can imagine it's horrible. Like, even, like I said before, even regular old blood could carry diseases. So you're dealing with blood that's definitely not from a human source. So what are you gonna do? It's gonna be filthy and pretty macabre. Kind of has this Lovecraftian vibe about it, I guess. Well, I liked it. I did. But I better get going, because I'm out here in the dark in the middle of a blizzard, and just another day in Canada. I wonder what other what Blumhouse and all the other horror producing companies are up to these days. Some of the modern horror I just out of touch with, I suppose. Oh gee, what if they make another video game adaptation, like I don't know, Tetris the movie? I don't know, like Pong the movie? Those are some really old examples. Actually, now that I think about it, Kirby the movie, Q*bert the movie, Pac-Man the movie. Well, no, they should do Extreme Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball the movie. Now everyone's gonna come to the theaters. Oh yes, splendid. Yeah, actually, they really should consider making Dino Crisis into a movie. There's already plenty of Resident Evil movies and Silent Hill movies. Just thinking, it was that era. Crash Bandicoot the movie. Spyro the Dragon the movie. The Last of Us the movie. Who knows? See you later.
Watching, and we'll see you in the morning.